Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cutting straight to the chase with something that affects pretty much everyone. Common money mistakes. Think of this as, your fast track to getting financially sorted and hopefully avoiding some future headaches. We've looked through some really good info for you.
That's right. We're drawing heavily from a Bank of Queensland article, The 5 Biggest Money Mistakes People Make. So it's got that practical grounding from a financial institution.
Yeah, and we've layered in some general insights too, just to be thorough.
Right.
So our mission today, pinpoint those key missteps, and really importantly, give you clear, actionable ways to steer clear of them. Basically, a shortcut to some solid financial know-how.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, a really big one. Not having an emergency fund. What's the lowdown on this?
Well, an emergency fund, it's essentially your financial cushion, for those unexpected things life throws at you.
Like what kind of thing?
Oh, it could be anything. Your hot water system breaks down, the car needs urgent repairs, or maybe more serious things like losing your job unexpectedly or facing sudden medical bills. Stuff you just can't plan for.
Yeah, the real curveballs.
Exactly. The thing is, building one isn't some impossible dream. It's a concrete step anyone can actually work towards.
Okay, so it's doable. And the BOQ article, it gives some steps, right? If someone's listening and thinking, okay, I need this, how do they start?
Yeah, it lays it out quite clearly. Step 1 is basically getting a handle on your current finances.
Meaning?
Meaning figuring out your monthly income, what actually hits your bank account, and then tracking where all that money goes, your expenses. They mentioned using a budget planner, which can be, super helpful just to get that initial clarity. You need to know the numbers.
Makes sense. Can't save for a rainy day if you don't know what you spend when it's sunny, right?
Precisely. So once you've got that income and spending picture, what's the next step BOQ suggests for building this fund?
Okay, picture acquired. Now what?
Then you set a goal for the fund itself. BOQ talks about aiming for enough to cover your essential living costs for maybe 3, 6, or even 12 months if, say, your income suddenly stopped.
Wow, okay, 3 to 12 months worth? That can sound like a lot of money, a bit daunting maybe.
It definitely can sound daunting, yeah. But the crucial point they make is you don't need it all tomorrow. Start small.
Right.
Even putting a little bit aside consistently, that builds momentum. That's the key, just starting.
Just start small, build up. Got it. So you start saving. Where does this money actually go? Not just your regular account, I assume.
No, definitely not ideal. BOQ specifically recommends putting it in a high-interest savings account.
Why high interest?
Well, 2 reasons, really. 1, it keeps it separate, so you're less tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. And 2, the high-interest part means your money is actually, working for you a little bit, earning some extra interest over time. It helps it grow.
Okay, separate and earning a bit makes good sense. Anything else BOQ mentioned for us staying motivated with this? I think there was a little trick.
Yeah, a neat psychological tip. They suggest actually naming the account something specific.
Like what?
Like literally emergency fund, or maybe rainy day fund, or something even more personal that reminds you why you're saving. Job loss buffer, whatever works.
I like that. Makes it feel more tangible, doesn't it? Less like just numbers on a screen.
Exactly. It reinforces its purpose every time you see it.
Okay, so that's the emergency fund. Really crucial buffer. Let's move to the second big mistake. Spending more money than you actually earn. This one seems kind of obvious.
It does seem fundamental, yeah. But you'd be surprised how easy it is to fall into that trap. When your outgoings consistently exceed your income, well, you're essentially digging yourself into a financial hole. It often leads to debt, stress. It's not a good place to be.
So what's the fix? According to BOQ.
The core solution, unsurprisingly, is budgeting. Getting a plan for your money.
Right, budgeting. Sometimes that word makes people groan, though. Feels restrictive. Is there a simple approach they suggest?
Yeah, and they highlight a really accessible framework, especially for beginners. It's called the 50-30-20 rule.
50-30-20. Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. So the idea is you divide your after-tax income roughly like this. 50% goes towards your needs.
It's being
your absolute essentials. Rent or mortgage, utility bills, groceries, essential transport, insurance. The stuff you have to pay.
Got it. 50% needs. What's 30%?
30% is allocated to your wants. This is the fun stuff, but the non-essentials. Things like eating out, new clothes, hobbies, entertainment, streaming subscriptions.
The lifestyle stuff.
Exactly. Things that make life enjoyable but aren't critical for survival.
Okay, 50 needs, 30 wants. That leaves 20%.
And that 20% is crucial. It's designated for savings and also for paying down debt if you have any. So building that emergency fund, saving for goals, tackling credit cards, that's the focus here.
I see. So it's a simple structure. Cover needs, allow for...
Precisely. It helps tip that balance back in your favor, ensuring you're not just living paycheck to paycheck, but actually making progress.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So that tackles overspending. Now, mistake number 3 BOQ points out is having no financial goals. How does not having goals actually become a money mistake?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's maybe less direct than overspending, but the impact can be significant.
How so?
Well, the BOQ article puts it nicely. If you don't have a specific purpose for your savings, it's really easy for that money to just get frittered away.
Frittered, like on small things.
Exactly. Those daily coffees, the little impulse buys online, maybe a subscription you signed up for ages ago and forgot about. They seem small individually, but they add up and can really eat into potential savings if there's no bigger target you're aiming for.
Right. Without a destination, you just kind of wander financially.
That's a great way to put it. Setting a clear financial goal gives your savings direction. It gives you that why. And it helps you understand how much you actually need to save to get there.
So what sort of goals are we talking about? Does BOQ give examples?
Yeah, they give a good range covering different life stages and aspirations. Things like maybe starting a business.
Okay.
Or starting or growing your family, buying property first home, or maybe upgrading, investing in your career through education, planning a wedding, or saving for that big trip.
Big life stuff, basically. Things that cost money.
Right. Things that usually require some dedicated saving effort.
And did BOQ have any practical tips for managing savings towards these different goals?
Yes, they did. They suggest actually opening separate savings accounts for each major goal.
Oh, interesting. So not just one big savings pot.
No. The idea is you might have an account literally named house deposit, another called Europe trip, maybe one for new car.
Why separate them?
It makes tracking your progress much clearer and more motivating. You can see exactly how close you are to funding that specific dream rather than it all being mixed together. It makes it feel more real.
I can see that. Watching the holiday fund grow would definitely feel good. Did they mention anything else about motivation? Keeping the momentum?
They did. They suggested breaking down those big goals into smaller, sort of mini monthly goals.
Okay.
And when you hit one of those smaller milestones, reward yourself. But with a small, affordable treat, not something that blows your budget.
Haha, right. A little reward, not a major setback.
Exactly. It just keeps things feeling positive and helps you stick with it long term. It's about making savings sustainable, not just about constant deprivation.
Celebrating small wins. I like it. Okay, so we've covered no emergency fund, overspending, and no goals. What's mistake number 4?
Mistake number 4 is having no systems in place.
No system. That sounds a bit vague. What does that mean in practice?
BOQ uses a really good analogy, actually. They say managing all your money from just one single bank account is like trying to eat soup straight from the pot.
Okay. Messy.
Messy, yeah. And hard to tell how much you've had or how much is really left for, the actual meal versus just sipping broth.
Yeah.
Having systems is about creating order and intention with how your money flows.
Right, creating structure.
And the key strategy they emphasize here is something called paying yourself first.
Ah, yes, pay yourself first. Hear that a lot. What does it actually involve?
In simple terms, it means you treat saving like a bill. It's a non-negotiable expense that gets paid before other discretionary spending happens.
So you prioritize saving.
Exactly. You prioritize it by setting things up. So a portion of your income automatically goes into your savings account right when you get paid.
Automatically.
Yes, instead of waiting till the end of the month and hoping there's something left over to save, which, let's be honest, often there isn't. You make saving the very first thing that happens.
So how do you actually do that? What's the practical step BOQ recommends?
It's usually pretty straightforward. You set up an automatic transfer or a direct debit from your main checking or transaction account straight into your separate savings account, or maybe into multiple savings accounts if you're using that separate goal strategy we just talked about.
And you decide the amount.
Yep. You decide how much, ideally aligning with that 20% target from the 50-30-20 rule or whatever your goal requires, and you set it to happen automatically on your payday.
Set it and forget it, kind of.
Pretty much. It takes the willpower out of the equation. The saving just happens in the background. It's putting your savings on autopilot.
From the budgeting rule.
Absolutely. It locks in that savings component right at the start. It's a really powerful way to build wealth consistently over time.
Okay, systems make sense. Automate the saving. Now, the fifth and final mistake from BOQ. This one sounds a bit different, not making the most of a competitive market. What's this about?
Yeah, this one zooms out a bit from just our personal habits and looks at the wider financial environment.
How does the article frame this idea of timing?
It uses some interesting comparisons like catching the right bus or even meeting the right partner. The point is that timing can play a really big role in life, and finance is no exception.
So economic changes matter.
Though you always need to check eligibility, and if those schemes are active, of course.
So looking for opportunities to save money or get a boost.
Exactly. Times when being proactive and informed about market conditions could really pay off.
What about the flip side? Are there times when the advice is not to react, to just sit tight?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is important. The article specifically flags long-term investments, using superannuation as the key example. They advise caution against chopping and changing your super fund too often, just because the market wobbles in the short term.
Why is that?
Well, constantly switching can rack up fees, and trying to time the market perfectly with long-term investments is notoriously difficult, often counterproductive. The general wisdom is to have a long-term strategy and stick to it, riding out the bumps.
Okay, so don't panic with long-term stuff like retirement savings. That's good advice. So the overall message isn't about day trading your life savings then?
Not at all. It's more about strategically aware. Knowing when there might be genuine opportunities to improve your situation, like refinancing a loan, but also knowing when inaction, especially with long-term goals, is the smarter play. Stay informed about general market trends, but crucially, seek professional advice before making big moves.
Talk to an expert.
Yeah. They suggest speaking with financial professionals, whether it's someone at BOQ or an independent financial advisor, to get advice tailored to your specific situation and goals. Don't just guess.
Sound advice. Okay, so let's quickly recap those 5 big mistakes from BOQ. We had number 1, no emergency fund.
Right, the safety net.
Number 2, spending more than you earn.
The fundamental imbalance. Budgeting is key.
Number 3, having no clear financial goals.
Giving your money direction.
Number 4, having no systems in place.
Like paying yourself first automatically.
And number 5, not making the most of how to avoid them feels like a massive step towards, better financial health.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's about moving from being reactive with your money
Foundation.
to being...
And what other questions has this deep dive maybe sparked for your own financial journey? Definitely some food for thought there. Thanks for tuning into this deep dive.